So I'm going to throw this one out to the group because I think everyone except for you, Catherine.
What?
Yep, watched The Creator.
We did.
True.
What's The Creator? I don't know. What is
Science fiction.
it? Science fiction. I've heard of that.
Yes, it's a 2-hour movie. It's available on Hulu.
Set in the future where there's not exactly AI, more like full-blown like cybernetics, like actual beings out there that are not human beings, that are digital. And then it doesn't go well. And then we're in the substantial long-term aftermath of it not going well.
Oh, geez. Okay.
Yeah, it starts with AI setting off a nuclear bomb that basically destroys Los Angeles.
Jeez, rude. AI, don't do that.
I know. And now we're having to fight AI. And listen, except for this like big freaking hollow joint they have at the back of their head, all these, they look like human beings. So just put a hoodie on, put a scarf on, or have long hair, and you can be able to tell the difference.
Literally.
Yeah, I mean, sci-fi, they did some interesting things in this one where there was a whole thing where you could donate your likeness. So then it was like, people just running around with you that are robots.
That's weird.
Bad idea, people. Bad idea. It's directed by Gareth Edwards. There is potentially an AI being created or has been created that could control all intelligence on the planet, AI intelligence. So therefore, that has to be found and stopped. That's the backstory. It stars John David Washington, which is Denzel Washington's son. And there is an opening scene where he's talking, and you're like, damn, he sounds like his dad.
Oh.
But, he's really found his own in Tenet. I think, he was in that as well. So he's...
And Ballers.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's doing his own thing.
He's doing his own thing, yeah. Mm-hmm. But he is the ex-military and, of course, begrudgingly and doesn't want to be brought back into the field. But he's got to be brought back in because no one else can do it. And so he's the one. He carries the film, looked beautiful. He was great. The acting was great. But my critique was sort of like, there was something just about it that just felt like, should we started where this ended?
Oh. Mm-hmm.
It was a bit in the middle of the story. Like, that's what you're saying. So, like, we're trying to, like, get up to speed with the world and what's happening and how did it go this way and whose side are we on and what's the right side of that. And then, okay, all right, well, I could have used, like, from the point where we figured all that out, just tell me that, and then we can hang out for 2 hours.
Yeah, because, they make the AI having human attributes to it that, people have completely embraced AI, basically human-like robots into their lives. And so in a lot of ways, there's a huge set that do not want them out, but you gotta love Allison Janney in her badass era. She is going to kill them all. I mean, she's, what was that film that we reviewed like about a year ago where she was an assassin?
Oh, yeah, and it was raining all the time.
Oh, my God. So she has decided.
Was it some survival? Like, I'm saving this one kid, but there's no aliens to fight?
But now she's hunting this one kid. So, she's in her badass era and, she just embraces it. And, basically John David Washington, also because he was in love with this rebel played by Gemma Chan, he is torn because that has gone awry. And when he discovers this, I don't want to blow up for anybody, but it's very smart what they do. This potential weapon is put into the guise of something so innocent. Therefore, how can you kill it or destroy it? It was like, can we speed up the power of that weapon, that insane AI? Because it was like, there was not that much. I mean, like, it was like, come on.
For an AI, it wasn't very smart to let that develop at the speed of a child. No, you plug that thing in and have that go 10 times faster, and it's a grown-ass adult in a week. Thank you.
Yeah, something along those lines. Yeah, so I wish this was more like Rebel Moon that we talked about earlier in this podcast, where it was going to come back. Because
more action.
I also just felt like it left us at a place like, well, what now? Like, that's the end? What? Like, to me, it's like it was just getting started. So that's my only critique. Otherwise, I think it was, it's also from the director of Rogue One, which John and I are huge fans of Rogue One. That's one of my favorites of the spin-offs. There's been so much of that in the Star Wars world lately, in the sagas. So I thought it was beautifully shot. The special effects were fantastic, which now, John, when I think about Rogue One, I mean, basically that ended, which you're like, well, now what? And we do know, actually, but...
Well, yeah, I was thinking because it's an interesting correlation because both of these movies are like, oh, this giant story, but really you're kind of following a small story of this character on this journey. And it worked better in Rogue One. I still think it worked very well in The Creator. Look, I mean, it wasn't a huge box office success, so there's a benchmark for this criticism. But
I'll also give, because it was actually in the theaters. But for how long? That's, there's not a lot of breadth where it goes from box office to streaming. So your box office benchmark, unless you're like a Barbie or an Oppenheimer and you're going to bust it out and be able to be there for like a month plus or 2 months. Like, how much box office are you able to do if you're under a month in a box office? So, I mean, I did watch it on streaming. I did not until I did some research and we're like, box office? Oh, it was in the theaters first. Okay. But I will say this for any sci-fi lover, I do think it's worth watching. Check it out. It's on Hulu.